Chapter 10 starts long before a customer ever raises their voice. It starts early in the day when the shop is still calm and you want things to stay that way. A customer is standing at the counter, keys in hand, explaining their situation. They have work later. They have kids to pick up. They need certainty. You feel the pressure to make them feel good before they leave. So you soften the truth. You say, "We should have it today," even though you don't know parts availability yet. You say, "It shouldn't be more than this," even though the diagnosis isn't finished. You say, "I'll call you," without setting when or why. Nothing feels wrong in the moment. The customer smiles. They hand over the keys. The lobby stays calm. But the trap is already set. As the day moves on, reality does what it always does. A part is delayed. The bay backs up. Another job takes longer than planned. A technician pauses mid-repair, waiting on authorization that hasn't happened yet. Time slips quietly, minute by minute, without being named. By mid-afternoon, the vehicle is half-started. Labor is burning. No update has gone out. The customer doesn't know what's happening, only that the day they planned around your words is falling apart. Then the phone rings. The customer isn't yelling. They're controlled. Their tone is tight. They're tired. You said it would be done today. You said it would be about this much. You said you'd call. At that moment, the conversation shifts. It's no longer about the car. It's about whether your words meant anything. It's about whether they were respected or managed. A capable but limited advisor reacts on instinct. They explain. They justify. They defend. They talk about parts delays, technician workload, and how busy the shop is. Everything they say may be factually true. None of it lands. The customer doesn't hear context. They hear excuses. Once a customer believes you're making excuses, control is gone. The repair becomes secondary. The conflict becomes personal. They feel trapped, and trapped people push back. This is why difficult customers feel exhausting. Not because they are unreasonable, but because the situation was built on promises that couldn't survive reality. Most shops experience this pattern weekly. A day spent calming calls, reshuffling bays, smoothing tension, and apologizing for things that were never meant to break. The shop feels like it's constantly defending itself, even when everyone is working hard. The stress doesn't come from bad people. It comes from borrowed certainty. When time and money are unclear, customers fill the gaps with fear. When promises are tight and reality shifts, customers experience it as betrayal. When communication goes quiet, customers assume the worst. And once that assumption takes hold, solutions stop mattering. Accountability becomes the focus. This pressure spreads fast. Technicians get pulled into disputes created at the counter. Bays clog with rechecks and comebacks. Leadership loses authority because the day becomes reaction-driven instead of directed. At this level, failure isn't a single angry call or bad review. It's living in defense mode. Always explaining. Always calming. Always cleaning up conversations that didn't have to go sideways. Some of the hardest customers you will ever deal with aren't difficult by nature. They're cautious, stressed, and protecting themselves because they've been burned before. When expectations are handled poorly, those instincts get activated. But when expectations are handled cleanly, even tense moments change shape. Customers relax when they understand the process. They cooperate when they feel respected. They stay loyal when they aren't surprised. This chapter exists because most conflict can be prevented before it ever starts. And when it can't be prevented, it can still be controlled without blame, panic, or relationship damage. The goal isn't to win arguments. It's to build a system where arguments rarely form. Most difficult customers are created before the repair starts. Very few customers walk into a shop looking for a fight. They come in looking for relief from a noise, a warning light, a schedule problem, or financial uncertainty. What turns a normal customer into a difficult one is rarely attitude. It's the moment expectations are set in a way reality can't support. It usually happens early and quietly. An advisor wants the handoff to feel smooth, so they sell certainty instead of structure. They give an exact day instead of a range. They soften the price instead of framing the process. They promise a call without defining when or why. The customer leaves calm, believing decisions have already been made. But no work has started yet. As soon as the vehicle enters the system, uncertainty begins. Parts availability isn't confirmed. Bay flow changes. Diagnostics reveal more than expected. None of that is unusual. What creates conflict is that the customer was never prepared for variation. They were sold a finished story before the middle was written. Once expectations are set tightly, reality has no room to move. Any change feels like a failure. A delay feels like dishonesty. A price change feels like a trip. Silence feels like avoidance. This is how normal repairs become emotional events. Customers don't react to the repair itself, they react to surprise. They react to silence. They react to broken promises. When those show up, their brain shifts into protection mode. They start tracking every word you said. They repeat phrases back to you. They stop listening for solutions and start looking for accountability. From the shop side, the damage multiplies. Advisors spend time explaining instead of directing. Technicians get pulled into conversations they didn't create. Bays stall while disputes are handled. Leadership gets dragged back into the counter to calm things that never should have escalated. None of this is caused by a single bad decision. It's caused by an expectation system that leaks. Shops that struggle with difficult customers usually have the same pattern: tight promises, loose verification, and reactive communication. They don't mean to trap customers, but they do. Once trapped, customers push. Shops that experience fewer conflicts aren't luckier. They're cleaner. They sell defended ranges instead of exact outcomes. They set update points instead of vague promises. They require consent before cost changes instead of assuming agreement. They communicate before being chased. When expectations are built this way, delays don't feel personal. Price changes don't feel sneaky. Problems don't feel like betrayal. Customers may still be disappointed, but they aren't angry. The difference isn't tone, it's structure. If your shop feels like it's always putting out fires, the fire usually started long before the complaint call. It started the moment certainty was borrowed to make a customer feel good instead of clarity being used to keep them safe. What actually turns a normal repair into a confrontation? It's tempting to say the answer is delay, or cost, or a mistake, but those things happen every day without conflict. Two customers can experience the same delay and respond completely differently. The difference is not the event. It's the expectation that came before it. Confrontation begins when a customer feels trapped. They feel trapped when time was promised instead of framed. They feel trapped when money changes without consent. They feel trapped when communication goes quiet and they're forced to chase updates. Trapped customers stop cooperating and start defending themselves. The first thing that breaks is trust in the process. Once that trust breaks, every explanation sounds like an excuse. Even accurate information feels self-serving. The customer isn't listening to understand. They're listening to catch you. The second thing that breaks is authority, and when advisors argue facts on the phone or assign fault before verification, they give up control. The conversation becomes emotional instead of procedural. Whoever is louder or more persistent starts driving the outcome. The third thing that breaks is shop rhythm. Disputes pull attention away from productive work. Technicians wait, bays stall. Leadership gets reactive. One unresolved situation starts affecting unrelated jobs. By the time voices are raised, the real damage is already done. The customer doesn't feel respect. They don't feel informed, and they don't feel safe trusting what comes next. This is why arguing never works. Arguments assume shared facts and shared goals. In a confrontation, neither exists yet. Verification hasn't happened. Expectations aren't aligned. The customer wants dignity and control. The shop wants stability and truth. Until the situation is moved back into a verifiable process, nothing productive can happen. So the real trigger for confrontation is not a bad repair or a slow day. It's expectation failure followed by emotional handling. Once those combine, the situation escalates predictably. If you want fewer confrontations, the solution isn't better apologies or tougher language. It's preventing customers from feeling trapped in the first place and refusing to argue before facts exist. When a customer becomes upset, the priority is not to calm them down. The priority is to move the situation back into a process you control. Difficult moments feel urgent, but urgency is what causes advisors to make mistakes. They explain too much. They promise too much. They argue facts that haven't been verified yet. Every one of those moves feels helpful in the moment and weakens authority long term. The expectation shield works because it removes improvisation. Before work ever begins, expectations must be framed clearly. The customer needs to know what the next step is, what that step costs, and the time range you are operating inside. Exact promises create traps. Ranges create flexibility. Update times create safety. When these are set early, customers don't feel hostage to the process. Consent gates are non-negotiable. Any change in scope, time, or cost requires a pause and explicit permission. Momentum never spends the customer's money. This protects the customer from surprise and protects the shop legally and reputationally. Customers don't react badly to being asked. They react badly to being assumed. Proactive communication is what keeps expectations intact. You don't wait for the customer to call. You update before you're chased. Even an update that says nothing has changed yet prevents suspicion. Silence is interpreted as avoidance even when everyone is working hard. When a complaint or comeback call happens, the order matters. First, acknowledge the experience without agreeing to fault. This preserves dignity without surrendering authority. Second, stop all diagnosis on the phone. You cannot verify anything remotely, and guessing creates liability. The vehicle must come back to the shop where facts exist. Third, address safety immediately. If the customer feels unsafe driving, you tow. Safety overrides cost discussions and blame. Fourth, verify the concern in the shop. Only after verification do you determine cause, responsibility, and resolution. This sequence keeps the conversation professional instead of emotional. It moves the customer from confrontation to cooperation because the process feels fair and controlled. Resolution comes last. Once verified, you explain what was found, what will be done, and what the customer can expect next. You do not rush to give concessions. You solve the right problem instead of buying peace. After resolution, the standard tightens internally. Expectations are audited, notes are reviewed. The same trap is prevented next time. This is how difficult situations stop feeling personal. You are not defending yourself. You are executing a system. Customers sense that difference immediately. When expectations are framed cleanly, consent is earned, and verification comes before blame, most conflicts never form. And the ones that do get resolved without damage to trust, rhythm, or authority. The purpose of this chapter is to shift your shop out of defense mode. When expectations are handled cleanly, most difficult customer situations never happen. The customer understands the process. They know what step comes next. They know when they will hear from you. Delays become manageable. Changes feel honest instead of deceptive. The first goal is prevention. By under-promising, selling defended ranges, and setting update times, you remove the surprise that fuels anger. Customers stay calm when they aren't trapped by certainty you couldn't guarantee. The second goal is comeback control. When a complaint does occur, you follow a strict order. Acknowledge without fault, stop phone diagnosis, address safety, return the vehicle, verify, then resolve. This protects the shop, the technician, and the relationship. Arguments disappear when the process is clear. The third goal is relationship protection. Customers don't expect perfection. They expect fairness, clarity, and respect. When you refuse to blame, refuse to guess, and refuse to trap them, even tense situations de-escalate. Some of your most loyal customers will come from moments handled this way. Elite shops are not immune to problems. They are immune to chaos. They don't rely on tone or personality to manage conflict. They rely on structure. Expectations are documented. Consent is earned. Communication is proactive. Verification comes before conclusions. When this becomes standard, advisors stop dreading hard calls. Technicians stop paying for front counter promises. Leadership stops being pulled into every dispute. The shop stays in rhythm even on hard days. Difficult customers stop feeling like a threat. They become a signal that expectations need tightening, not tempers. That is what mastery looks like in real conditions.